Hi guys, so right now I'm at Kumon, which is where I work, and in case you didn't know, Kumon is a Japanese company, and they specialize, or rather what they do, is they help people in math and reading skills. So obviously there was an earthquake recently, and a lot of people died, and a lot of people are still suffering from it, and Japan itself is undergoing like a really huge loss. And obviously Kumon is one of the companies that really feels that, just because Japan is it's where their headquarters are. It's like their starting point. And I just wanted to do something for Japan. As you guys probably know, if you're watching this off my blog, or if you're a friend of mine that I've personally told. If you're not, then that would be that. And you should probably go to the link so you can see it. Anyway, so, this is a lot of spam that I got from colleges, because PSAT and SATs and College Board tests like to lie to you and tell you that when you put your information in and you put your email in, they're totally not going to spam you and give it to all these different parties. But then they go, and they obviously do, because I have never gotten this kind of college mail in my life, nor have I gotten it in this quantity. But my dad went home this spring break, and this is all the stuff that came in the mail from the 2 months that I wasn't in Massachusetts. And yeah, so in case you were ever wondering, what should I do with this spam besides recycle it? And if you don't recycle it, then you're evil and you should recycle it, because there's no reason you can't, and it doesn't require that much energy, and it's more cost efficient to you in a lot of ways, occasionally, most of the time. Anyways, so I'm going to show you how to make a paper crane like these. These are actually Japanese paper cranes. There's 2 different kinds of paper cranes I learned from Google/Wikipedia, which are like my best friends now. The Chinese crane flaps when you pull the tail, and the wings look different. And the Japanese crane doesn't flap, and it just looks more, I don't know, it looks more refined and Japanesey, I guess. And that's the one I'm making, because obviously this is for Japan. And yeah, I'll stop while I'm making the Japanese one to show you where it's the Chinese one and the Japanese one, because basically the Japanese one is just a couple extra steps. So here's an envelope. I'm going to show you how to make a paper crane from an envelope rather than a normal piece of paper, because the steps are pretty much the same, but the envelope seems like a little trickier, and it's kind of like, how would I make a paper crane with an envelope? It's not square, and it's like weird and folded and stuff. Well, I'll show you. And I chose to use the Worcester Polytechnical Institute one, just because I used to live in Shrewsbury, and this is the college that was the closest to where I used to live before I moved, and I got a lot of support from my friends there. And I'm also going to show you all the different colleges who sent me spam, so if you were ever wondering which colleges spend money on spam, here they are. Oh, by the way, here is the University of Chicago, here is the University of Vermont, here is Boston University. Oops. Good thing cranes can fly. Here's Northeastern, Hamilton, Emory University, Babson College, Case Western Reserve University, Loyola University, Maryland, Colgate, Brandeis, Brown. Oh, this one I thought was kind of funny, because it says, experience life in the Ivy League. Oh my. I find that especially interesting, because they were obviously cheaper than everyone else, because they only gave me this one little cardboard thing, and everyone else basically mailed me a folder. Well, most of them. University of Delaware, University of Alabama, St. John's College, and this one's interesting because it has, the following teachers will return to St. John's next year. And then it says stuff like Socrates, and Machiavelli, Marcus Aurelius. Ha ha ha, very funny. I'm guessing this is philosophy school, and if not, then, I don't know. It has a very philosophy type of book. Anyways, moving on. Tulane University, Drexel University, Rensselaer. Not sure how to pronounce this one. Nor am I sure if it's from abroad or not. Oh, lies. It's from Troy, New York, apparently. University of Miami. This one struck me just because now I'm in Florida, so this one was the closest to me currently. And Washington University in St. Louis. Another interesting note is some of them have this thing on them, and it looks like a signature. but it's not. It's fake. It's one of those printed signatures, which kind of makes me wonder what the purpose is, because you can tell it's not real. But that's okay. Anyways, that was my spam mail, in case you guys were wondering what kind of spam I get. So, here's my WPI envelope. Opening it. I can do this completely without scissors or basically anything besides knowing how to make a paper crane, and maybe like a minute. I do these during free time in class, when I'm walking places. It doesn't require a lot. So for this one, it's got these. So I'm just going to rip them up. I'm trying to, because obviously the envelope is glued, so I'm taking the envelope apart where it's already glued. Okay, so here's the whole envelope, right? So I look at the envelope and I decide where the biggest square or the most useful square would be. And right now I'm thinking here. So I'm going to rip off this part. I'm going to rip off this part. Oops. It also doesn't really matter if your edges are really straight and stuff, because it just ends up making the wings look a little different, or the head a little different, or it makes it look less refined and perfect, but it's okay. Especially if you're starting for the first time, like, not a big deal. I like to collect stamps, so I'm taking this stamp off. Oh, another thing that I found really interesting was the fact that most of these had stamps that said nonprofit organization on them, and I always thought that colleges were for profit, and that's why the tuition was so expensive, and that's why they're sending me all this spam. But apparently they're a nonprofit organization. Yeah. According to my dad, that makes sense, because you can be a nonprofit organization and still be expensive and be private. But I always thought private and corporate were together. I guess that would just be media messing up my head. Okay. So, here we have a piece of paper. Take it, and you want to make a triangle. Use the corner as your point for your triangle. And then match up this line to the edge of the paper. Crease. And then it doesn't really matter if you start this way or if you start this way. I'm just going to go this way today. And then you want to match that up to the edge here and match this up to the edge here. Because basically you're making a perfect square by doing this. And like I said, it doesn't have to be spot on, so. And then after I do that, I just go like this a couple times. And I rip it. Usually it's better to take it slow, or some people, I don't have a ruler with me right now, but some people hold a ruler up to it, and then they go, and they hold the ruler really tight down, and that actually works really well, and it's really fast, but it can be a little jagged. Some people also like to lick folds. I don't do that, but you can if you want, if you're that type of person. So then we have this side, and we have this side. This side's white, this side has Worcester Polytechnical Institute emblem on it, and a picture of what I'm assuming is the school. So the side you want to use to start your folding is the side that you're not going to put on the outside of the crane. So all of these are white, and that's because I folded in the words from like the Chicago letter and the Vermont letter on the inside. So I'm folding in this way. So this is the original line I made for the square. Then I turn it and I make another triangle the opposite way, and I fold that. And now I have an X. And then I fold it this way, half, and then I have a line across, and then I fold it again. And I have like that. It's probably hard to see the creases, so I'll just point them out. Here's one, here's one, here's one, and here's one. So we're folding in on the image if we don't want it. If you have an image that you do want, then you would fold it the opposite way. So then, if you look at it on this side, you can probably see more clearly. There's sort of like a square, or I guess you could call it a rhombus because it's on its side, but really it's a square. and the square goes like that, and there's 4 squares, and they all have lines going down the center of them. So you fold in on the square, like this. You push, like the middle crease here, you go down on the crease, and then on this side, you do the same thing. And then you get that. So be careful, because some people, when they collapse it, what they do is they do this. And it looks the same when you look at it this way, but it's not when you try to fold it. So if you take this, you can really easily get to the other one. You just go like that, and then you do that. The other thing that some people do, and then they don't notice until they're trying to figure out how to get to the next step, is, let's see if I can do it. If you do, let's see, this. Obviously this looks different, but if you're just kind of collapsing it, because you're like, well, basically what she did was she just squished on all the folds, and you get this, this isn't right either. This works for some origami, but for making the paper crane, you don't want to do this. So, back to our original shape. Here we go. So we've got this. So here's the side that opens, or the bottom part here, and this is the top. So this is the middle of the paper, and these are the edges that are made this. So you want this part to be facing you. I'll do it facing you guys, just because that might be easier for you. And then you take this one part, because you have multiple folds. Oh, one last thing you don't want to do is you don't want to hold it like this, where you have 3 here and 1 here, because that's, well, it'll just confuse you a little. You can do it if you are smart. So you take the one here, and you fold it over like this, and you line this up with the middle line here. And then you do the same on the other side. Here. Usually when it's nice, I think it's supposed to match up across, but it's not really a big deal if it doesn't match up across. Then you flip it over, you do the same thing. There are a couple things when you make paper cranes, it doesn't really matter the order, and this is one of them. So the next couple things I'm going to do, you're going to realize that it doesn't matter what order you do them, and it's fine whichever way you do it. As long as you end up with a crane, we're all good. It's like math. It doesn't matter which way you get the answer, so long as you get the correct answer, and it actually made sense what you did. Okay. So, I like this side better because it looks more matched up. So then you take this top part, this triangle here, and you fold it down. You want to fold it down so that it lines up here, and you fold it down like that. And then you just take it off. And then what I usually do is I flip it over, and I do the same thing again. But you can do this in a different order, like that. Okay. So after I folded it down, you open these up again. And you can see the crease here. It's a kite shape. And then there's these 2 flat pieces here. So, remember how I made it go like that? So you want to take the first part of that. So you take this. So see how there's one underneath? You only want to take the first one. And then you pull it up, and you follow the crease, and you push on the crease like that. And then here you push on the fold, and you push on the fold here, and you squish it. Push, push, push. And then you get that. This can be kind of a hard step. I personally think this is the hardest step. First time I learned how to make paper cranes, I learned from one of those little guides on paper, and the drawing confused me really, really badly, and we couldn't figure it out for the longest time. We kept taking it and squishing it, and then we got something that looked kind of like in between, like that. Something like that. And it was almost right, but it wasn't quite right, and the teacher finally came over and was like, you guys are doing it right, you just have to do it the whole way. And they did it, and I was like, whoa. And then I kind of figured it out, but I didn't figure it out till way later, because my friend showed me how to do it. So then you do the other side, and you basically do the exact same thing, which is why I said the order doesn't matter, because if you want to do one side first completely like this, and then flip it over, you can do that too. Okay. So once you get to this step, this is the step where it can be a Chinese crane or Japanese crane. So if you want to make a Chinese crane, what you do is you take these 2 ends, or here. So it's like this, right? You take this, and you take this, and you squish them together like that. And then you do the same on the other side. And then you get this. And then you fold this up to here. This is as far off as it'll go. So you'll basically know because you just fold it up the whole way. And then you turn it, and you do the same thing here. And then you go whoosh. Here, let me show you that again. So you have this, right? So then you take this and you pull it out a little, and then you just squish it. You really just push it. There's nothing special. That's why some of the frames stay up better than the others, just because of the way the heads are put out. Some of them just balance on tables better. And then you do it on the other side. And then you pick which side you want for the head. And then I'll show you the last step, because I'm going to go back and make the Japanese one now. Okay. So now we're back at, well, where are we? Here we are. Now we're back here. This is where you were originally. If you got confused, then you could just refold it, or you could start a new one, or maybe I should have told you not to do it if you didn't want to make a Chinese one, but that's okay. Anyway, so we're back here, and what you do now is you take it, and once again, you're only taking the top one. Don't take both of them, just take the first one, and you fold it so that the corner, the point here, meets at the middle. You want it to be in the center, and then you fold it down. You'll notice that it makes kind of a triangle here, and it makes kind of a kite shape here. That's just something I noticed. I don't really think you should use that as a guideline. If it looks a little crooked, if it doesn't match up well, it's okay. Just make sure you're not folding it like this, or like this, or like this. Make sure you fold just this part here. So then we do that on all sides. Okay, here comes another slightly confusing part, but you can do it. It's really not that bad. It just is a lot of folding and unfolding. Okay, so you have these two, and these are pointing in on each other, right? So then you take them and you fold them up like that, so that you can't see them anymore, and that they're on the inside. And you do the same thing on the other side. Now you have this shape. You might notice that it looks kind of like the Chinese one, except for, like I said, it looks a little different. These are pointier, smaller, and also pointier. And then you do the same thing here. You fold it up. And if you're thinking of just stopping the video because you think you figured it out and you're done and you know how to do it, you're wrong, because there's an extra folding thing. Because otherwise, you're not going to be able to make the heads. You'll be like, why? It's not working. Pull, pull, and then you'll rip it. Because I tried doing that once and I was like, oh, gotcha. So, fold up, once again, and then you would think that you'd be done and you could just pull these out and make the heads and the tails, but you can't, because these are actually your wings. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I guess when you fold it, that's the way they're locked up. Logistically, in my head, I'm not completely sure how to explain it, but that's how it is. So, have them like this. You do that thing again where you fold them on themselves, and then you pull out the heads. So I folded them on themselves, right? This is where they are. They're here. So then I turn it this way so I can see this is the wing, and this is the other wing. Then I pull this out, and I pull this out, and I squish them. And then I pick a head. I'm going to pick this side for the head. And you take it in your thumb, or your finger, or whatever. You pull this part down, like that. You make it like that, and then you just kind of push it in. It's pretty simple to do. Most people can do it. And even if you can't, you'll figure it out after a while. You don't even really have to make the head so, like, nice. You could probably just squish it, and it'll turn out okay. Okay. So, we have a head, we have a tail, and we have wings, but they're up. So then, we take the wings, and we pull them out like this. And then you could just leave it like that if you want, but that's not really, if you notice here, how it's opened up like that, it sort of like balloons up, I guess. So you just want to pull lightly, and don't pull too hard, or you'll probably rip it. Don't abuse your crane. And there you have a paper crane. But I try to refrain from saying paper because you can actually make it from a lot of different things. For example, this one was made completely from this window material, and the labeling on it is kind of bad because that material is really hard to write on. But this is made from labeling material. When I go to like Olive Garden, or if I have a wrapper and I just don't know what to do with it or I'm bored, I'll just open it up and I'll make a crane, because cranes are pretty. You can like give them to people. You're like, here, look, I just have awesome skill like that. It's cool. Not really, but people are always kind of interested when they see this cool little thing you made and you just sort of like folded it up and made it in like a minute or two. Because when you don't have to explain it to someone, it takes a lot quicker. And once you get used to it, once you just keep making them, then it goes even quicker. And since we're making cranes, or at least I'm making cranes right now for Japan, I need to make 1,000, because the legend, the Japanese legend, is that if you make 1,000 cranes, then you get one wish. And so I'm making 1,000 cranes, and my wish is that Japan can recover quickly and that the people who are suffering can, you know, that they can not get over their losses, but that they can recover in a good way, and that they'll be able to regain their balance and get back on their feet. So, that's how you make paper cranes. And I definitely had to say something else that I don't remember, as usual. But that's okay. So I hope you enjoyed my how-to video that I actually put more time into than you would expect, considering how I put all these cranes out. They're actually pretty hard to get balanced and all like nice and laid out on this blue table. And my friend helped me, and I had to convince her to help me. I also had to ask for using Kumon to video this, because I normally don't video things outside my house or when I'm randomly walking on the street, and therefore I would like to thank the people behind the camera and over there not wishing to be filmed, because I guess she just doesn't want you guys to stop her. So, thank you to my boss and to my friend and to all of you guys who supported my blog and were like, yay, make that video, Christine. And yeah.